So Tom, how has the site performed against expectations?
Our online store has experienced all of our most demanding seasons and has performed exceptionally well. Soon after the initial launch, it had to more than prove itself by supporting the traffic generated from a segment of the Oprah show. Although that generated a spike 6 times our average load, the customer shopping experience was not adversely affected at all. Site performance is something we just no longer concern ourselves with. As I mentioned earlier, our goal was to get a platform in place as soon as possible so we could get on with our strategic e-commerce plans. We have augmented, or actually accomplished, more core functionality since Go Live than we've achieved over the past 4 years combined. We're well ahead of our development plan, and the results are just great.
So Tom, what are some of the key lessons learned or advice that you might provide to other CIOs and CTOs who are in the evaluation phase of e-commerce platform change and are shopping around for options?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing I can say, and it's touched on it quite a bit so far, if you view e-commerce as a key participant in your means to achieve competitive differentiation, then you should strongly consider an open source alternative. Depending on the size of your license and maintenance projection, you probably have a good opportunity to fund one or more additional very impactful initiatives by repurposing those funds. The more your e-commerce platform participates in your organization's strategy to differentiate itself, the more likely customizations will occur and invariably diminish or neutralize the ROI on package maintenance and license fees. Moving to an open source solution basically accepts the realization that the risk assumed to be averted with a package solution is in fact an expensive illusion.
Interesting. Brian, if companies are interested in discussing more about the Broadleaf Commerce solution, what do you recommend?
The best thing to do is go to our website. We've got a lot of useful information there. We have some email addresses that are monitored all the time, info@broadleafcommerce.org. You can ask any question there, and we'll try to help you out as best we can. We also welcome participation in our forums, which are available on the website.
Great, thank you. We will now take questions from those of you who are participating today. We have a question here. Do I have to buy any special, I believe this is for you, Brian, do I have to buy any special hardware to be able to run my website on Broadleaf Commerce?
I think where that question is going is related to, so Broadleaf Commerce is a framework and it'll run on various application servers. Because we're open source, we've targeted to all of the open source frameworks or open source application servers, and so you can run Broadleaf Commerce on pretty much any hardware platform, and you can run it on any Java application server. You know, you can run this inside of a Tomcat or a JBoss, for example.
All right, I think this one is for you as well, Brian. How do you process orders at the point of sale system?
You know, I think that's a great question. So we're processing orders with point of sale. There's a lot of complexity in that question itself. But what Broadleaf Commerce provides you is a fulfillment framework or API. So at the point of sale system, there are hooks that we can interact with to communicate with point of sale, that point of sale can use, and that you can customize for your particular fulfillment needs. Fulfillment is very customizable by organization, and so at the POS level, we have created APIs to deal with that. And if you just need a simple database solution where you keep track of statuses, Broadleaf has that out of the box.
Another question here. So the question is, I have a number of points of integration with back-end systems. Will Broadleaf be able to work in that type of situation where I've got a lot of complex back-end systems that need to speak to my storefront?
Kevin, that's the best example where Broadleaf Commerce, those are the situations that I've personally been in where say, for example, I've got a framework solution that I've bought from a commercial vendor, and I need to use my own pricing system or my own inventory system. I don't want to use the packaged version. Those things become difficult with some framework solutions, but Broadleaf was built with that in mind. Because it's open source, because we're using the Spring framework, which is really the most successful framework in terms of allowing developers to do integrations, this is really the place where I'd say Broadleaf is best. It's built for those complex integrations, and the model is designed so that you could replace an out-of-the-box Broadleaf feature with your own pricing system, with your own inventory system, with your own catalog system, and you can do that as you need to do in a very simple and least amount of work way to move your commerce solution along.
And Brian, I'm just going to jump in real quick, and that's exactly what we did. Beyond wanting to have a single ubiquitous notion of what an order looks like, whether it originates in a store or call center or on the website, it was to provide all the insight into inventory visibility from our ERP system, information about our customers from our marketing database system, and a variety of other applications to for example, our click and pick up service obviously requires inventory availability information in real time on our website, what's available at the store. And when a customer selects a product that they want to pick up in a store, we have to reserve that immediately, dispatch somebody to pull that off the floor, and manage the whole workflow around capturing the order, fulfilling it, and closing it out. So, I mean, we've exercised interfaces to other operational systems quite extensively.
Brian, looks like another question for you. You're getting bombarded today. You mentioned earlier in the overview that the solution is scalable and flexible. Could you provide a little bit more detail around what you mean by scalable and flexible?
Sure. So scalable is the ability to, as your load or your amount of users increase, your site can handle that load. So we've designed specifically the APIs, the caching strategies, the tools that developers need when they're building their own custom solutions so that we can ensure that the application is scalable. If you need to run Broadleaf on multiple hardware instances, you can. It's built so that it can run in parallel on many instances. It is built so that, if you think about the fact that we don't have a licensing model where you have to pay, that's a real advantage in scalability as well. If you do want to use additional hardware, you don't have to go and get additional licensing. So from a scalability, from the technology underpinnings of it, the frameworks and the design that has been put in place are all scalable, meaning we can run that on multiple machines, and as our load increases, we can handle that with the same performance characteristics. Is there any other part of that question that I missed, Kevin?
The other part was flexibility, Brian.
Okay, and flexibility, that's a really key point. So when we started to design this thing, we had been involved in so many places where we had to customize other e-commerce solutions, and we were thinking, how can we make this better? And so when we thought about flexibility, we thought about it on multiple layers. One, for things that people want to do often, can we give them a configuration so they can just change that to meet their needs? Two, can we provide an extensible implementation? So, for example, if our implementation of a customer or a cart, that probably doesn't meet your needs. You're going to have some custom fields that you want. Can we make that very easy? And that was our second goal. And then our third goal was, if we're in a situation where someone has something totally different and our model doesn't work at all, can we let them plug their model in and still the rest of the components work together? And so we tackled flexibility in those three ways, giving the developer and the customer the right alternatives for the right type of customization they need to do.
Thank you, Brian. This concludes the question and answer portion of our webinar, and it also concludes our session for today. Brian, Tom, thank you so much for joining us today. If anyone has any questions about Credera, you can visit us at www.credera.com, or you can call our offices at 972-692-0010. Thank you all for joining us.